Good evening, Peoria.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for having me. And excuse me, this morning I spoke with the teachers and some administrators and different members of the staff. But right now, I believe I'm speaking to Peoria. I believe I'm speaking to the heart of the community, the very reason why all of us are employed. We are in your school. And this is important that you understand that I understand, because it's too easy for those of us who work in these schools to think that they're our buildings that we invite you to as guests, as opposed to your buildings that you invite us to as guests. So if you'll be so kind as to do what you normally do, be yourself at home. And I appreciate you bringing me here as your guest to have a conversation with you about what a community can do to transform itself. Before I came here, someone told me that typically Parent University doesn't get much of a turnout. They told me that people don't typically come out, and then I pulled up and the whole parking lot was full. And so I asked my man Chris, who's been bringing me around all day, I said, why are all these people here? He said, I guess it's for Parent University. I need you to understand that I understand from where you come, because I want to tell you a bit about a mother, if I can, because if we're going to be honest about what's going on in our community, we have to have a conversation to and about mothers. Because y'all are the ones who are shouldering most of the burden or responsibility, however it falls, of raising our community, of educating our children and pushing the system. And so if I can, I want to share with you, this is a true story, it's a true story, about a mother, a teen mother, and her struggle. And through that time, what I also want to do is have a conversation with you, because I'm not going to spend all this time talking to you. I've talked all day. I promise you I have. I promise you I have. I'm tired of hearing me talk. So I want to have a conversation in which I get to answer the questions that I know the answers to, and the ones I don't, I'll just say I don't know. Because I'm comfortable with that. I've learned the power of I don't know. A lot of brothers, we don't want to say I don't know. We'll stay in the car driving. You know how to get there? Yeah, I know how to get there. I hate being lost. I hate being wrong. So I don't know saves me from both of those. But what we'll do is we'll have a conversation about what needs to happen for our community. And I say our community because Peoria, the deal is that your kids are mine. Just as there are people out here from Connecticut, there are going to be people from Peoria back my way. And somebody's going to see your kids somewhere and they might just think they're some kin to me. So since they're yours and mine, we're going to talk about our community. And what's important to me is that we walk away from this with a better understanding of your power. See, too many of us feel like we don't have the power or the capacity to push the system. And too many times I watch as parents, typically mothers, come to Board of Education meetings in auditoriums such as this, and y'all are fired up. You come in all kinds of mad. Everybody in your community has got you hyped up for your 2 minutes of glory. You've written this speech single-spaced, no indents, couple spelling errors, grammatical bloat. But you're ready to go. You're ready to go. And you're going to read it, and they're going to take, and you, man, this is it for you. And you come, and they stand up there or sit up there, and they nod like this and look like they're writing something, but you know they're sending texts. That's a grocery list on that piece of paper. And you come with everything you have, and you fight, and y'all and everybody behind you, yes, Lord. Go ahead, girl. Speak it. Y'all fanning her from behind. Right? They're fanning her. They're practicing for Sunday, so you can keep them till Wednesday. And nothing happens. You walk away and the applause and everybody feels really good, and whomever is up front says, thank you very much, ma'am. We really appreciate you saying that. We'll take that under advisement. You're going to take that? Yeah, go get that. I'll take care of that, sure. And everything that happens, it goes, and then all of a sudden you come back and the building still looks the same raggedy self. And your kids still going to schools that no teacher who works in that building would send their child to. Not one. But they fighting for their right for employment, though. They fighting for their rights. I got a right to this job. I've been here for 20 years. They're talking about their rights, their rights, their rights. The only rights that matter in this are the human rights. And the only human rights that are really rights are the rights to education. Because in this country, we don't promise you a job. We promise you that if you bring us your poor, huddled masses yearning to be free, we will take care of them. And the only thing that this country guarantees is an education. Not a turkey in every pot. That was just a speech. It wasn't a guarantee. It was just a speech. The only guarantee is that you can come as you are to school. But so many times you hear educators like me talk about you like you ain't human. Come on. Well, you know, there's single parents and poverty and, you know, have all these kids of color and of course they don't speak English and on and on and on. And we use that day in and day out to excuse our own ineptitude. You send us children who you want us to teach how to do something, and we send them back to you. Man, I can't teach them nothing. Actually, if we said that you could accept it, we say they can't learn. We say that because you don't know how to do algebra at home with your child, we can't teach them algebra. If you don't know Spanish, I can't teach you Spanish. You don't know chemistry, I can't teach you chemistry. If you didn't send them to us already ready to know these things, I can't teach them. I'm always amazed at educators who say those things and don't hear how profoundly insane it sounds. You go to a barber, he says, man, I can't cut your hair. It's just too nappy. You see this mess? These are clippers, not a blowtorch. I ain't bring a chainsaw to work today, brother. It's funny when you hear it in other places, right? When you hear it taken out of the context of an academic experience, and we call these things facts. We talk about them like they're facts. We say, well, we are clear that poverty has there's a direct correlation between performance and poverty. But there's not. The word correlation means a connection. In its use, like, let's just stay here, right? In its use, when they're saying there's a correlation between how much money you make education your child will ascertain, what they're saying is that there's a cause. Because, right? This is a different way to say it. Because you're not wealthy, your children can't learn very well. And so they explain away the achievement gap over and over and over and over again. See, if one of you decided to keep your children home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, kept them out of the school, they would call the Department of Children and Family Services, and you about to go to prison. No, real prison, like you're going to get locked up. Somebody's going to say that you have essentially committed educational neglect. It's a form of child abuse, right? You know you can't do that, right? Compulsory education requires you send all children under 16 years old, and depending upon the state, to school. If you do anything that in any way interrupts that, you are in fact criminally liable. You understand that, right? That's real talk, right? But if a school system for one calendar year does not educate your children, it's called an achievement gap. It's criminal when you do it. It's an achievement gap when they do it. Something wrong about that. And what happens is teen mothers like the one that I'm telling you about, they don't know these things, because just like if you went to the car dealership and you went to purchase a car, you can go in there with all the internet research you want. I've seen Blueberry, and I know the car ain't worth but so much, and I'm not going to pay. This is above the Blue Book value. Right? You go in there and you feel some kind of way, and you go in there and you come out thinking, wow, they got me again. you're going to lose because you don't understand the rules of the game, and the rules of the game are just the same way they always have been. For too long, public education has been meant for those people who we believe to be deserving of it. And too many people who look like the people in this room are not seen to be deserving of it. See, I would say this to you if you were in Hartford. It doesn't matter to me that I'm not employed by this district. Don't give me a microphone and ask me to tell you what I feel. Because, see, I've seen too many mothers like you and the one that I'm talking about who have fought for just their little piece of the pie. They don't understand what they're fighting for, but they come down and fight every single time because they think that if they fight, the fight is what's going to save them. It's not the fight that's going to save them. It's how you fight. You ever see in the Middle East, the places like that, they're just throwing stones at tanks, and you think to yourself, how stupid are they? Even if the man stuck his head out of the tank, you ain't taking the tank out. But the problem is that that's courageous. They just didn't know that they had to find another way to fight. Too many of y'all are throwing rocks at tanks, and you're not getting the results that you want. Until the day is that every single person in this school system feels like you are proud of the choices that you have at every single school, then the school system is not serving you. See, I want you to understand that in order for you to be effective, you have to be effective in your communication with the schools. You have to know not just how to fight, but what you're fighting for. See, this teen mother that I'm talking about, she had a son, and she didn't want him to be in the same situation that she was in. And so she would fight the system like y'all did. And she'd go to all the meetings. Because, see, what happens is we blame you guys, the parents, for not coming out to meetings. But let me say this. Because some of y'all, if it's not you, it's somebody you know, are pretty lame. You know what the meetings are, you don't go. And that stuff is real aggravating. For me, as somebody who's fighting on your behalf, to know that we do some things to get y'all in, and then all of a sudden we make this big point like they're going to show up, and then y'all don't show up, it hurts. I can't even lie. Because you make us look silly. Those people who got your back, you make us look real bad. Because all you do is prove a stereotype, which none of us need any more proof of. Like, we don't prove that stereotype. Let's start some new ones, please. But so often what happens is when parents want to come out, let's say you went to your school's PTO night, the open house, and you wanted to find out about what's going on in your child's school. You do realize that the school could not accommodate all the parents if they came out. Even if you came, the way in which most parent-teacher nights are in fact situated, the way in which they're organized, you couldn't come if you wanted to. Let's do the quick math. If there are 24 seats in the classroom, if each child has at least 2 parents, you're already over the limit for the classroom. Now, if you know like I do, that our community seems to have found a new way to rewrite the nuclear family, you could have a mother and a father, an auntie and an uncle, a boyfriend / husband / you know a slash. So you know like I do that what we couldn't even, the school couldn't even accommodate all you if you came to sit and listen to how your child is going to be graded. So one of the things that you need to fight for is ways in which you can enter the school and get the information that you need in the time in which you can use it. Having you come to the school twice a year doesn't answer, I mean, you don't know. 2 times, 187 days, is you going to come twice and you going to know this thing? All right. That's your, in New England we say wicked, so that you'd be wicked smart. So here with this mother, one of the things that she would do is she would go to these PTO nights and she would get there and she would sit and participate. And you know, there's always the one loudmouth parent who asks every single question, and she's really only asking about her kid, right? And she really even asking the question, she's just bragging about how smart her kid is, how her kid is smarter than everybody else's kid, and you just want to punch her. Because you're just aggravated by her because you, like I am, don't really like adults that much. And you know how, right? So you come out of that and you don't feel. And so she would be the same way. And her son would go with her to these things because she would bring him. And they lived in public housing. And she would bring him to the parent teacher nights. And then she would bring him to the tenants association. And he would watch. He would watch as his mother seemed like she never was getting anywhere. Every single time, every single turn, no matter where she went, because she was there, see? It's a hurting feeling. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a really hurting feeling when I, as a principal of an urban school, have a soccer game or a basketball game that's at our school, and there are more white parents from the suburbs there than black and Latino parents when the building's in their community. That's a real hurting feeling, and I don't care how badly you need to get your hair done this particular night. And I know she's hard to get in there and everything. I get that, right? And you got to be somewhere, and I get all that. But it's hair. Or you had to work this night. It's $100. It's $200. Doing to your child by not showing up to these particular events is unconscionable. There's nothing okay about it. I can't give you a pass on it. I can tell you, well, I understand because you work all these jobs. Hey, man, that kid didn't ask to be here. But they did ask for you to come to participate in activities. And no matter how many times your child says, Mom, I don't want you to come to this, they're lying. They're lying. And no matter how many times your son, who's a teenager, sits in the car with his earbuds in his ears, not talking to you, and looking forward like you stink. Right? No matter how many times that happens, he wants you to be next to him. He really does. No matter how many times he walks in the house and you ask him, how was school? Like, when did this fool talk like this? Like, is that English? And you hear him with his friends, they're like they don't even sound like they're speaking English at all. It doesn't even sound like a language. And if you're like me, you have a car full of them, right? I got a car full of these boys, and they all have the earbuds on. I got 6 kids in the car, and they all got the earbuds. And not talking to anyone. And if you know like I do, teenage boys smell terrible. They do. Y'all know they do. You put a bunch of them in the car, I don't care what the weather is, you got to roll the window down. You feel like you've fallen into a foreign land. Like, you feel like there should be tigers and lions walking by. God knows y'all smell disgusting. Because teenage boys, you know like I do, you got to tell them to wash with soap and water. If you know like I do, you got to go in the bathroom and you got to touch the bath cloth. You didn't wash. It's still moist from yesterday. Ain't no new soap on that. But they want you in their, this is just what it is. This is what they want. They want you in their lives, and no matter what they say, they really do. I'm telling you, no matter what they say, that's what they want. The bigger they get, the more they want love. The more they need direction. And that's just because they're older. You don't know how many times I've got mad with parents because y'all come in there and say some fool mess. You say things like, well, he's 14 now. I ain't finna be chasing behind him. He's 14. Oh, he's all the way 14. Wow. I mean, wow. Think of all the things you can do at 14 that you couldn't do at 13. you can't tap out. You can't tap out. But on the same token, I understand that you're here tonight because you understand that you got to be in. And you just want to make sure that you make the best use of your time when you are in. You want to know how to get through a PPT. I can't tell you how many times, I'm a social worker. I run a pretty successful school. I can't tell you how many times I've sat through a PPT. And I had to say, wait, what did you just say? This alphabet soup of ADD, ADHD, every other D in the world, I don't know what they're talking. I had to stop people who work for me. I pay these people. Like, yo, partner, you got to say that again. If I know I don't understand it, then I know the person who with the least amount of education in this particular area doesn't understand it. Don't think because you don't know that you don't have a right to know. You're not dumb because you don't know. Just because you may not have felt as successful as you wanted to when you were in school, you're right now a parent. It's not okay that you don't know. You can't just nod your way through, yes, because somebody's putting your child behind in a sling if you're not being careful. I want you to ask questions when you're in settings like that. I want you to stop and, whoa, I don't understand that. One of the biggest mistakes I see with parents is when you come in all wrong. You start off mad. Nobody want to deal with you mad. I'm for real. I didn't come to work to fool with you. These clothes are not for you. These are for the children. I didn't come here to have you coming in here talking to me like I'm your baby's father. You don't disrespect me, I ain't gonna disrespect you. You don't get to come in here anyway. You're mad, I get it. But you being mad is not the solution. So I should sit you behind down and let's have a grown-up adult conversation. You must treat the experience between the school and you as a professional setting, because it is. This is your school, but it ain't your house. So put some clothes on. You are never going to be in that much of a hurry where you need to come in there with a scarf on. If your house was not on fire when you left, take that mess off. Do not drop your children off with bedroom shoes on and pajama pants. That's embarrassing to all of us. I don't need to see your bra strap or your cleavage or anything. It's profoundly inappropriate. Come to a professional setting as a professional. Ain't nothing wrong with you getting a little dressed up to come in and have a conversation. There's nothing wrong with that. It shows respect to your child. Especially, and I got to be honest with you, moms, if you have a son and your son is sitting next to you and you look like you got me, Rev? All right. He does not feel good about himself. You're not making him feel proud that his mother's there. He just wants this ordeal to end. He wants you to put all that away, take it back to the house, in the fastest thing moving. But once you get there, once you come as you're supposed to come, we're supposed to treat you a particular way. It's imperative that we treat you with respect. We have your children. And y'all didn't leave the good ones at home. You sent us the best that you had. And because you sent us the best that you have, we have to treat them like they're the best that there are. I tell my colleagues on a regular basis, these are not some of their kids, these are their children. And you owe it to these children to treat them as they're supposed to be treated, just like this mother wanted. This mother wanted her children to do the same thing. She wanted her son to be something one day. She didn't know what it would be, but she wanted him to be better than his father was. Because his father wasn't worth a damn. I mean, it is what it is. I wish it was a different story. I wish I could tell you, well, you know, in this particular situation, he wasn't. You know, he was maligned by the system. He was done wrong by the man. Nah, he was the man doing people wrong. And so she, like so many mothers, was trying to find a way, any way she could, to make the most out of it. She went back to school herself. She finished, she, like a lot of mothers, one of the things that she did was she graduated with a son. From there, she went on to community college. All the while staying involved. But if you looked at the fruit of her labor in terms of a systemic change, she really made no change. She wasn't able to make a change because the system continued, because she was fighting it by herself. In many cases, one of the reasons why you don't get what you want is because you come by yourself. You come by yourself with your own agenda. Somebody says something wrong to your child. This teacher told your child he was never going to be anything. So you're going to come all the way down to the Board of Education meeting. And you're going to put your business right out in front of everybody. When what I really need you to do is to talk to other parents and find out if, in fact, this is something that's been going on in the school. Talk to the other parents and say, hey, man, did you hear anything like that? Anything like this ever happened to you? Yeah. Then you find, the same teacher said, really? You need to organize. You need to find a way to take the information that you have and make it bigger. Because if it doesn't get bigger, then it's you by yourself. If it's you by yourself, if it's you all by yourself, then there's only so much that you can do. See, a bug doesn't stop a car, but a swarm does. You can make the systemic changes that you want to make when you participate as members of a group. That group can make change. And it can make the change that's necessary as opposed to your own whims, dealing with your own stuff. Because I'll tell you, a lot of parents, y'all come down and you just dealing with some stuff that you unreconciled things from your own childhood. You come down and there's a teacher who you ain't like when you were in school and she's still there and you've been meaning to tell her off for like 15 years. And so you come down there, I'm a parent now. Nobody scared of you. Ain't nobody really scared of you. There might be some people scared of you. I'll tell you one person who's not. And it's not necessary. I need you as parents to be parents. I need you to put your own stuff aside and I need you to think about what is the real issue. I need you to dig a little deeper when you're coming down. When you're going to the school, I need you to talk about what's really going on. Dig a little deeper than what my kid's being bullied. Okay, maybe. Your kid might just be a jerk too, though. It's possible. And every single time a parent says to me, I know my kid, he wouldn't lie. Use a lie. How do you know a kid will lie? Because he's got a mouth. Especially when his behind is jammed up. Even grown people, we don't tell stories in which we're the villain, right? You ever tell somebody a story and you're the bad guy? Doesn't happen. See, what has to happen is you need to work a little harder in this particular area. You got to take the time. One of the things that this mother did, I don't think she ever believed her son. I think he would have to come home wounded. Because in her mind, she trusted the schools. She trusted authority. Not all authority. When it was necessary, she corrected, but she didn't correct in front of the child. One of the biggest mistakes that y'all make as parents is you come down there and you want to check the adults in front of the kids. You're not winning. You can't win that argument. If you have an issue with one of the professionals in this professional setting, you've come down dressed and acting professionally, then have a conversation among grown people. There's no reason why the child should be sitting outside the room listening to you trying to lambaste this person. Because you're trying to flex, you're trying to show that you can be louder than somebody else. It's not a domestic dispute. You're talking about your child's future here. And if you're talking about your child's future, then you have to talk like you're talking about something meaningful. Which means this is not a conversation that your child needs to be a part of. You don't need to pull them out of class. Well, that's your side of the story. Now listen to his. Are you serious? You want me and a 14-year-old to run down our stories? Man, get out of my face. Nobody pays me enough for that to happen. Ever. And y'all gonna mess around and run into an administrator who's gonna say that just like that to you, who's not gonna be scared of you. Who's gonna say, you know what? I'm not giving you my side of the story. Here's the deal. A teacher saw the child do something. I don't care that he said he didn't do it. This person did not come to work today to trump up some story on your 11-year-old. It's not what happened. One of the biggest mistakes I see parents make is you guys fight about the punishment, for instance. So your child has done something wrong, you acknowledge that. But you're upset about the way that he's being punished. We only got so many punishments at a school level. We can't beat him. So really, we don't have a lot of options. And you don't get to pick them. How about that? You don't want your child to stay after school or come before school or have a lunch detention. You don't want your child suspended. Tell them stop doing stupid things. If you see a pattern of behavior within the school in which your child is somehow being put upon, that's worth taking a look at. But if your child has done something, I had a mother, this is a true story. I had a mother last week, because our school's year round. Last week she called me. And these two middle school boys, decided that it was, because middle school boys are just that far away from being insane. Like, right there. So they made the decision that they were going to give a birthday beating to another child, right? It's his birthday. The fun thing to do is to punch the hell out of him. Because that made sense when it appeared in one of their minds. So they take it upon themselves. They see the kid come around the corner and they just commence. They just going to town on this kid. Now they were playing. I don't know how old the kid was because they sure did put it on him. And so, kid goes to the nurse's office. He got some bruises on him. Typically, the way I deal with things like this that are stupid, I make things disappear within the school. You don't get to watch me discipline, but they'll come back fixed. I assure you that.